What's going on, everyone? Badger here. Should have liked and sub, and let's get into this. 2024, really, Hollywood went off the deep end with activism, and specifically Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm. They had some doozies. The Acolyte, I think, was everyone's favorite. What's that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it was the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. People watching in abject horror as they continue to ruin the lore. I mean, it's on par with Kenobi, I think, for ruining the lore as far as like talking about magic and the virginces that are able to create life, which wasn't something you could do, but they never read the books. They only corrupted them. And it was an abject failure. So much of a failure that they actually had to cancel it. That at the end of the day, the over $330 million that they spent on it, thank you, UK tax credits, for diming out the truth on that. Oh boy, it was a failure. But I saw this article here saying that it was a smashing success. I was like, oh, I see what they've done. It's a success, but not the way we thought. And money laundering. That's all I'm going to say, money laundering. Even Variety and other shill sites are coming out and saying, yeah, stop announcing Star Wars. We don't believe you. You don't actually do it. And at this point, even they made the money laundering joke, which may not be a joke. So we have author Isaac Young, and if you've never heard of him, I don't blame you, but he's made stuff and he counts as an author, and there's an article about it. So his point, though, is something we've all been saying, and that is that it was a success depending on what you think they wanted to achieve with the Acolyte. Because if it was to actually bring in new viewerships and heal Star Wars, no, that was a failure. But if it was to give money to a bunch of activists, and well, then hey, it was a smashing success right there. So earlier in the month, of course, we had co-chairman Alan Bergman confirming that the reason the Acolyte was canceled was for straight up money reasons because of the low viewership. Thus, people weren't watching. Thus, they didn't make advertising money. Thus, boom, done. He said, so as it relates to Acolyte, we were happy with our performance, but it wasn't where we needed it to be given the cost structure of that title, quite frankly. To go and make a season 2, that's the reason why we didn't do it. So that's why is the cost, and we know that, but apparently this is still a success depending on how you look at it, and that's enter Isaac Young. Just for shits and giggles, he's the author of The Domes of Calrathia. Ooh. Smashing success. Why? Well, he answers. Disney spent $200 million on the Acolyte. The money didn't vanish into thin air. It went into the pockets of their activists, their people, the Leslie Headlands, the Christina Irelands, the Acolyte was a smashing success. It was a massive wealth transfer to their clients while inciting mainstream outrage. And if you believe the more obvious of the conspiracy theories, is that the ruination of all of our franchises, from Star Trek to Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, all of it, comics, D&D tabletop, was to incite outrage, to have an unhappy populace that is on edge, a little mass formation hypnosis. He continues, why does Hollywood seem so hell-bent on investing in a financial failure after financial failure? Well, the point is to give money to their people. Making a profit is a happy accident. Conservatives will point out this is insane and makes zero business sense. Well, too bad. And yes, we've seen continue. How many shows have you gone to like, that got a season 2? Meanwhile, the good show that everyone's watching, canceled. And he continues, understand that these are not people who plan to be carefully shepherding these institutions for decades to come. Yeah. And we've seen that in the entirely different way that they react. Bo DeMeo, who wrote his X-Men 97 story Bible for 4 seasons and then told us what was going to happen. It was going to be awesome. That's all gone because the people now in control were not planning to shepherd that for decades, or even a decade, or even in the decade. That is the thing with Kathy. She was not intending to actually be the shepherd of Star Wars. She was meant to be the creator of Disney Star Wars, and that was just never going to happen. They've been strip mining every IP and franchise for the past 20 years, making vanity projects while robbing these institutions of everything they're worth. Correct. And even worse, on some of them, they think they're making it better by changing them.
Sheer fucking hubris.
Yeah, that's the only good thing we got out of Star Trek was that fucking the new Trek rather from Kurtzman was that clip. He continues, and when the whole thing finally does crumble, these people are going to be largely fine because they've amassed enough personal net worth to outpace the collapsing economy. They won't have to worry about inflation or paying for a house or a car or any of it. To highlight this point, he noted that Lucasfilm president, yeah, look at this. Is Kathleen Kennedy going to worry about collapse of Lucasfilm? No. She's going to be fine. Once it's all said and done, she might walk out of this halfway to being a billionaire, and probably a damn sight more than that, because she'll just do nothing but speaking tours. And yes, let's not forget, even though it came out that the Force female thing was like one event that she went to, that she didn't actually, she just put on the shirt. It doesn't matter. It sent a message. And from this very jump, we've just had destruction after destruction. And this is what Steve Jobs was talking about in relation to bringing in outsiders, consultants. We mentioned this also in the video game industry with like the Sweet Baby Inc. and those activist consultants. When you bring in people that have no fucking stake in the outcome of what you're suggesting, 9 times out of 10, and I just made up that statistic, it's going to be a horrible outcome because they could just skate on out regardless of the suggestions and the outcome therein and have their monies. So yeah, if you don't have a personal stake in the game, if you don't love, respect, cherish what you're working on, you shouldn't be allowed to work on it. That's been proven to me through Bo DeMeo and only hammered home phrasing every other time they failed because they didn't actually they didn't respect the source material. Source material matters. So let me know what you think about all this. Make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you.
Well, bye.